Welcome to the Zimbabwe CBCA program webinar in partnership with SFAAZ. This is to basically introduce Cotecna's innovative solutions to certification. Next slide, please. Our speakers of the day, we have Mrs. Gina Chirume from SFAAZ. She's the head of marketing. We have Cedric Sear, Southern Africa Regional Manager from Cotecna. And we also have Karisha Ramdit, Senior VOC Administrator at Cotecna. I'm going to hand it over to Gina at this time to give the opening remarks. Gina, over to you.
Thank you, Estella. But I'm thinking our numbers are still a bit low. Maybe if you can wait a little bit, do you think we can continue? Or we can wait for an extra 2-3 minutes? What do you think, guys?
I think
at least if we have about 100 people to join and then we start. Because if we start with 57, I think it's a bit low.
Okay, I think we can give everyone another 3 minutes to continue to join. That's fine.
Okay.
As we wait, kindly note that there's a Q&A tab at the top of the ribbon of your screen where you can submit your questions as we go.
Yeah, I think we can start now. Do you agree, guys?
Yes.
Perfect. Go ahead.
Good morning, colleagues, distinguished guests, members of SFAAZ, Cotecna representatives, here represented by Cedric, Girisha, Dana, and Estella, clearing agents, freight forwarders, students, and trade professionals across Zimbabwe and beyond. My name is Ms. Gina Chirume. I'm from SFAAZ marketing team. It is my great honor and privilege to address you today at this important webinar jointly hosted by Cotecna and the Shipping and Forwarding Agents Association of Zimbabwe, SFAAZ, a platform that brings together key players in the logistics and trade facilitation ecosystem. This gathering is not just an industry event, it is a celebration of collaboration, innovation, and shared commitments to transforming Zimbabwe's trade compliance landscape through technology. Setting the scheme, this is the new era of trade compliance. In an era where borders are no longer merely physical checkpoints, but digital gateways of information, the role of compliance has evolved dramatically. Today's world demands speed, transparency, and accuracy in cross-border trade, and technology has become the bridge that connects efficiency with integrity. Zimbabwe's participation in global trade depends heavily on the ability of its logistics ecosystem to meet international standards. The Consignment-Based Conformity Assessment (CBCA) program is implemented by partners Cotecna on behalf of the government of Zimbabwe, stands as a key pillar of this effort. Through this program, the government ensures that imported goods comply with approved technical regulations and quality standards before they reach Zimbabwe consumers. This webinar will unpack how Cotecna is leveraging digital tools and global expertise and revolutionizing how Zimbabwe manages trade verification and compliance. This is the basis of the relationship that exists between SFAAZ and Cotecna. To the clearing and forwarding community, this revolution reduces turnaround time, eliminates costly delays, and enhances trust in Zimbabwe's cross-border trade system. Lastly, it is crucial to note that in trade facilitation, it is that no single institution can achieve transformation in isolation. It requires collaboration, and collaboration such as this between SFAAZ and Cotecna exemplifies this principle. At this point in time, I will not waste much time. I would like to hand over to our colleagues from Cotecna. We have an informative lineup of presentation, which we hope will make this webinar interactive and exciting. Thank you. Over to you, Cotecna.
Thank you very much for those kind words. I want to also welcome and thank you all for joining us today for this informative webinar hosted with the collaboration with SFAAZ. So my name is Cedric, and on behalf of Cotecna, it's a pleasure to have you with us as we explore the Zimbabwe CBCA program and share insights into Cotecna's innovative solutions for product certification and trade facilitation. In today's sessions, is designed to give you a clear understanding of how the CBCA program works, its importance in ensuring compliance and quality standards for imports into Zimbabwe, and how Cotecna digital tools and efficient processes are helping simplify certification for businesses across the region. We'll also have time for your questions at the end of the presentation, so please feel free to share them in the chat throughout the session. Once again, thank you for taking the time to be here with us. We truly appreciate your participation and look forward to an engaging and productive discussion. So let's get started. So Cotecna, we are one of the leaders in the testing, inspection, and certification services all around the world. And we have different services, but the five key sectors are agriculture, food safety, metals and minerals, system certification, and ESG solutions and consumer products. We have been now for more than 50 years in the business, and we are a Swiss originally company. Next, we are more than 7,000 employees around the world with a team. Next. Yes. So we have more than 7,000 employees around the world with a team based in Harare and a major team also in Kenya and in South Africa handling the CBCA program for Zimbabwe. Next. So before we go into the details of on the technical, just to have a clear understanding for all of us of what is VOC. So we've been talking about CBCA, so consignment-based conformity assessment. You will hear also sometime talking about verification of conformity, which are the similar approach. So it's a program that has been put in place to make sure that exporters are complying with the approved standards in the country. To make sure that we are complying, Cotecna is going to have a conformity assessment through documentary control, testing, physical inspections of the goods and or the factories before the goods comes in the country. So the VOC is here to make sure that the quality and safety regulations of Zimbabwe are met, with the end product being protecting the local businesses and the end consumers. Next. Now, if we focus on Zimbabwe, so Cotecna has been authorized by the Ministry of Industry and Commerce to deliver the service, meaning to test, inspect, and certify, issuing a certificate of conformity for the goods coming into the country. There are two programs in place, the General Goods and Consolidated Cargo, and there's the New and Used Vehicles and Spare Parts program. Next. This is the list of the products that are under the regulated categories for Zimbabwe. And I'll let you, Girisha, get a little bit into the details for those products.
Good morning, everyone. So I'm Girisha. I assist with the operations here in South Africa. So mainly in terms of CFC issuance or CBCA issuance. So here in South Africa, or in general, the main products that we have going to Zimbabwe would be food and agricultural products. So those will be like your fertilizer, commercial equipment for like tractors, building products, any construction materials, spare parts, packaging materials. We have a lot of fuel and fuel petroleum products going into Zimbabwe. And then I would want to say cosmetics or body care items. And then obviously our growing certification is now automotive and transportation. So a lot of vehicles, commercial vehicles, tractors that are now going into Zimbabwe, and then clothing and textile. Next.
Next. So we have different offices around the world which are going to be in contact with your exporters, so that we have a really near approach with all of them. So Girisha is sitting in South Africa. We have our other major office in Kenya and Egypt for Africa. But you see, we have offices in France, in Dubai, in India. So we have the whole world is covered by our certification centers. You may sometimes hear us talking about the CC offices, it's certification centers. Next. Maybe to explain also who are the different stakeholders in the VOC CBCA programs. So we have the authority, the Ministry of Industry and Commerce, who authorize Cotecna to operate and implement the VOC programs on their behalf. Us, the third-party inspection company, will verify that all the products comply with the applicable standards. And the standards will go a little bit into details, but the standards can be international, they can be regional, they can be local. The end product that is going to be issued by us, the deliverable, is the certificate of conformity. And this is the document that will be with each of your consignment that you will be required by ZIMRA so that you can clear faster your products. And the third stakeholders, which is including you, it's all the exporters, importers, the traders, the freight forwarders, the manufacturers, which will give us all the right documents. We will do also the inspections and the testing so that we can have a quick and efficient process. Next. Girisha, you want to give a little bit of the details on the process?
Hi everyone. So I think in terms of when we say the process, we're talking about POC processing. So ideally, when we say preliminary verification, this is where we will receive your documents. So ideally, what will happen is we will go through your documents, make sure that our set document list, you have complied to it, you've submitted all the mandatory documents. If everything is in order, we would then send it away for a technical review. So ideally, when your request goes for technical review, we are just checking that your test reports meet the local standards. There's traceability in terms of your test reports with the products itself. We also then look at any all the accreditation in terms of your testing. So has the correct lab tested your products? We check the risk of the product. So is it high risk, low risk? What is the end use of these products? So if everything is all in order and it passes all our preliminary checks, we would then go ahead and ideally arrange your inspections. So there are two ways that we can conduct inspections, and it depends on the program and the program specifics. So ideally, we could conduct remote inspections, or we would conduct physical inspections. So when we say remote inspections, these would happen by our on-site apps. So it happens throughout the world virtually. We would check necessary labeling or marking requirements of your products and verify that the documents that you have provided with us support the physical evidence in front of us. So if everything all goes well, we're happy with the inspection, it's passed, you have met all the necessary mandatory requirements, we would then go ahead and issue you with a certificate of conformity. If for some reason, ideally the inspection could not have been passed, it could be for whatever reason, we would then go ahead and issue a non-conformity report. So I think in Zimbabwe, currently they have not started this program, but it is still in the pipeline where they will then do surveillance checking. So operate surveillance checks of certified products punctually and randomly. So this will happen. It's not yet in place, but is in the pipeline. Next slide.
So the key
Yes,
success, the key success for this process is proper communication between ourselves and proper partnership.
Okay, so how does the assessment process work? So to facilitate the implementation of the VOC or CBCA programs, clients or products rather are classified per routes. So there's a different type of route for ideally different clients. So it depends on a few specific things. So ideally, what is the product type? What are the risks involved? What is the end use? Are there any risks in terms of health or towards the environment? We then look at the country of origin. Ideally, some countries have high risk exporting countries. And then we look at their level of compliance. So does that level of compliance meet the local standards? We look at your shipment types. So how frequent are you shipping your goods? So ideally, if you're shipping goods or exporting goods to Zimbabwe on a more frequent basis, ideally, then we should not be inspecting every product. Obviously, if they're not homogeneous products, your documents are all in order, you have met the mandatory compliance standards. And then after that, we would then look at the exporter profile. So manufacturer versus trader, have you complied with our standards or our requirements? What type of quality management system do you have in place? Is it a 9001? Is it a 22000? Food and safety? And then we look at your manufacturer's history with Cotecna. Have you complied with the necessary standards? Have you tested accordingly? Was there any maybe missing information that we had required on a previous shipment? And then obviously thereafter, we would determine, can the shipment go into route A, route B, or route C? Next slide, please. So as Cedric had mentioned earlier, the Zimbabwe program is separated into two programs. So ideally for general cargo, so this will be like spare parts, LPG, petroleum products, etc. there would be a standard list of documents that we would require. So ideally your RFC form, so request for certification form. So we would usually provide you with this, which is just a basic form of importer, exporter details. We would then require inspection details, etc. Then we would require your commercial invoice, packing list, your tax clearance certificate. So it's not a mandatory document, but we do indicate your business partnership number and tax identification number onto the COC itself. So we do request for it. And then your test reports that are ideally traceable to the shipment itself. So these are mandatory documents, and it just ensures that you are complying to local standards and how we verify that a client has been complying to local standards. And then ideally we would request for your ISO certificate from either the manufacturer or the exporter. Okay, next slide. Okay, so in terms of the Zimbabwe vehicle program, we look at it in terms of new and used vehicles. And ideally, there's different processes in terms of new and used vehicles. So for example, if you are exporting or importing a new vehicle, ideally, we would require less stringent inspections, less stringent documents. So in terms of when exporting a new vehicle, we would mainly require for your commercial invoice, or your sales agreement, your RFC form, and ideally your manufacturer's test report. So with new vehicles, we are allowed to conduct remote inspections, obviously because there's fewer or lower risks involved in terms of newer vehicles, whereas with used vehicles, we would then require registration or deregistration documents, SAPCO if your vehicle is registered here in South Africa, roadworthy certificates, or MOT or export certificates if you're exporting from the UK or Japan. And then ideally, if you're a returning resident from Zimbabwe, we would then require a copy of a passport just to confirm that you are actually a resident of Zimbabwe. And then lastly, if the vehicle is in South Africa, we would require an iTax certificate. So in terms of a used vehicle program, all inspections have to be conducted physically, and we would send an inspector out to site to verify specific information. Next slide, please. Okay, so in terms of different routes, so as mentioned earlier, we have 3 main routes that we would certify goods on. So ideally, in terms of route A, these would be for infrequent shipments. So a lot of the time, maybe it should be just a once-off inspection. You're probably not going to deal with the exporter again, etc. Or it could be for very high sensitive products or high-risk products. So ideally, we would need to conduct an inspection on every single request. Then with route B shipment, these are for exporters with extremely high volumes. And ideally, it's not high-risk products. You have met all the mandatory document compliance. So what we would do on our end is we would register your goods that are being exported or imported into Zimbabwe. And then we would then only conduct monitoring inspections twice a year. With our route C, this program this route rather, is mainly targeted to manufacturers itself. And the reason we say this is because we would have to conduct a full factory audit beforehand. So when we're saying a full factory audit, we would send an inspector out to the factory itself, and they would do an audit at the factory itself. And then ideally, we would then only conduct inspections once every year. Okay, the next slide, please. Okay, so in terms of our fees, and I think Cedric could just touch a little bit more on this. So we do not compete on pricing. The pricing is set by the ministry itself. We compete in service, so it'll be a standard fee that's between all TIC industries or companies. So for route A shipments, it's a 0.5%. Route B will be a 0.5%, and then for route C is 0.25%. So Zimbabwe works in minimum and maximum fees. So minimum fees are from $240 USD, and maximum fees are from $2,675. And then for vehicle inspections, we have a flat rate of $140 per vehicle. Cedric, I'm not sure if you'd want to touch more on this.
So when you say that there's a minimum fee for your clients, you can have a look and explain to them that depending on how they're going to do their shipment, they could also manage to have a more efficient approach and a financial approach to their shipments. Next.
Perfect. Next slide. Okay, so our commitments to our clients. One, we have a dedicated team to attend to your files, just so that they can build a relationship with you. It's not a call center approach where you have to dial 10 people to finally get assistance. So we like for our clients to know their team and for our team to know their clients. So it just helps in terms of processing your request, where we would know exactly how a client would prefer their request to be processed, the kind of documents that they would submit. It just helps it helps in terms of faster issuance, but at the same time, we're still creating a good working relationship with our clients. So we also have optimized processes according to the profile of the exporter and the type of product. So when we say this, we're ideally looking at the type of goods that you are exporting, your client needs or your business needs. So for example, you have products that need to be certified round the clock. Ideally, then we would customize our processes to ensure that we are able to service you, maybe say all year round or public holidays, etc. So it depends on what our clients are looking for, but obviously it still needs to meet our local standards and local regulations. So in terms of technical support, we try for our team to give you feedback as the file is being processed. So if, for example, it's gone for a technical review, we would like to give you an update to say, okay, your file has gone for a technical review, it has gone for an inspection. So you're up to date with the entire process. It's not that you're not receiving any feedback from us. And if, for example, we need any additional information, you're up to date with the process as we go along. Then we also have local support. So these are our local centers or liaisons office in Zimbabwe itself, which Estella, Axel, and our team in Zimbabwe are there. So if there's anything that you need urgent assistance with, or if there's any concerns or issues that you need to raise, obviously it's sometimes better to have a face-to-face meeting. And then here in South Africa as well, we try to engage as frequently as possible with our clients to gain feedback, to gain more insight on the program, and ideally listen to your concerns and your troubles, and ideally find solutions to them. So we also have a rapid issuance of certificates, especially here in South Africa, and I think for Kenya as well. We're so close to Zimbabwe, and ideally we cannot delay on your goods or on our issuance times. So we try to issue certificates as soon as they come in. So it will range within minutes. Obviously, it depends on the documents received, the type of route, as well as the type of goods that are being exported. But ideally, we try to issue within 24 to 72 hours from final documents received. And then lastly, we have our custom portal. So this is our own digital tool, which Estella will just touch on a little bit more as we go through this presentation. So this would just be a more digital tool in which you can submit your requests, a database for our clients. So you can ideally progress and see your document submissions with Cotecna itself.
You see, our commitments
Yes.
is really important for us. This is the Cotecna way of doing business. A dedicated team to be communicating with you, sharing the information. Next.
Yeah, I think I'm going to hand over to Estella now, who will just take you through some of our digital solutions.
Okay, so now we just have a brief video for you, which explains more on the customer portal, which Girisha was referring to, as well as our remote inspections, which she also mentioned earlier in the presentation. And we also have an upcoming tool for Zimbabwe called the eDocs platform, which helps with verification of certificates. Let's say you haven't done the certification yourself, but you still want to see whether the certificate is authentic, you can use this platform to do so. So if we could just play the video, it should explain everything else in detail.
At Cotecna, we empower businesses with cutting-edge digital solutions for seamless trade and compliance. Our customer portal offers clients 24/7 access to manage certification processes. Submit documents, track approvals in real time, and receive instant updates, ensuring transparency, efficiency, and full control over trade compliance. Getting started is easy. Clients can either register directly through the portal or send an email requesting access. Our team will create your account within 24 hours and email your login credentials so you can begin using the platform right away. It may be blank at first, but as you submit requests, you'll begin to see your certification history, documents, and status updates displayed here. Your dashboard gives you a full view of your certification activity. See all your certificates, track uploaded documents, and monitor the progress of every submission. Submitting a new request is simple. Tap New Request and fill in the necessary fields. No need for manual RFC forms anymore. Upload your supporting documents or let the system autofill for you if you're using previously submitted reports or invoices. Stay informed every step of the way. The portal tracks the progress of your request and gives you real-time updates. You can customize your notifications. Choose to receive only the alerts that matter most to you. Our portal connects directly to Cotecna's internal systems. This integration ensures seamless processing, accurate updates, and faster turnaround times, making the certification journey smoother for you. You're always on the move, and so is our platform. Access your portal from any mobile device, track your requests, download certificates, and get notifications anytime, anywhere. Never lose track of your documents again. All your certificates and uploads are stored securely in one central location. Access your files, generate reports, and download them whenever you need. With Cotecna's customer portal, certification is faster, smarter, and more transparent. Save time, stay organized, and stay in control, whether you're at your desk or on the go. On-site revolutionizes inspections by enabling real-time remote assessments. With high-definition video streaming and secure communication, clients can conduct inspections from anywhere, reducing delays, lowering costs, and ensuring business continuity. To maintain business continuity across the globe, Cotecna has launched a new service, allowing digital remote inspections for importers and exporters. These digital inspections connect our technical teams to our clients from anywhere to everywhere. A few days before the inspection, you will receive an email from the inspector with a link to join the digital remote inspection. To proceed with the inspection, you will only need a smartphone with a camera and a stable connection. Once connected to the session, our Cotecna experts will guide you through the different steps of the inspection process. On your side, you'll be able to easily present the goods to be inspected. Upon satisfactory results of the remote inspection, you will receive a Cotecna report confirming the compliance of your products. Time saving. Live interaction. Business continuity. We have never been so close despite the distance. eDocs is Cotecna's secure digital platform for managing your trade certificates with ease. Once you receive your certificate by email as a secured PDF, simply upload it to the eDocs portal to instantly verify its authenticity. The system checks for any modifications and confirms the document's validity in seconds. You can download, store, or forward it, confident that it's fully compliant with international trade standards. Using eDocs is easy. Just click the link, drag and drop or upload your certificate, hit submit, and let the system do the rest. Why use eDocs? With eDocs, you can avoid fraud, save time and money, and reduce your carbon footprint. Without eDocs, there will be forgery risks, increased shipping costs, and increased filing space. Discover more at Cotecna.com.
Okay. So we're now in our Q&A session, part of the webinar. I see there's some questions that we already have in the chat, but there was some that were submitted during the registration. There were quite a number, so we've only selected a few for now. But if we do not get to answer any of your questions, kindly add them to the chat or email us, and our contact details will be shared at the end of the webinar. So the first question we received is clarify the process of checking for vehicle compliance.
Okay, I think I should answer this one. So when we say checking for vehicle compliance, ideally we would determine is the vehicle new or used, and then obviously there are specific checks or processes that we would need to follow. So when we checking, we would verify that the documents supplied to us. So for example, your SAPCO or your commercial invoice is saying it's a red Ford, for example. When we get to site, we need to ensure that it is a red Ford. We would then check for engine number verification or chassis numbers. If there's any vehicle damage, we would check for internal, exterior checks. If there's any leaks or any fluids, so we would then go ahead and make sure your like tail lights or I want to say hazards, vehicle lights, etc., all in order. The tires are all okay. We would check for any emission readings. Tire pressure is okay. Tire thread is okay. Just ideally to ensure that the end consumer has a roadworthy vehicle. So check. I'm not sure if there's anything additional that I might have left out.
And I think, thank you. It's a clear explanation for this question.
The next question, please. How can we simplify the process of obtaining CBCA certification for our consignments?
Yes, Cedric, you can go ahead.
So yeah, maybe this one is quite an interesting question because this is where we're going to make a difference for you, and how you're going to make a difference to your clients is to have the most efficient process to get your COC. You shouldn't see that the CBCA certification as a headache, but you should see Cotecna as the Panadol that's going to help you in your own process to have the right documents, the right communication, so that we have the issuance of the COC on time. You want to go a little bit in the details, Kirisha?
I think from our end, it's just ensuring that ideally, in order to smoothline or make it a smoother process, it's always going to be a set list of documents that we would require. So what we would do is we'd try to build a database for you on our systems. So it's not repetitive information that we keep asking on every single request. We'd also look at your business needs. How often are you shipping your goods or exporting your goods? And then ideally, we would then consider if all compliance documents are in place, we would then consider onboarding you as the client onto a Root B option. we make sure that our team also has all the latest and updated tools and information to guide you through this process, because sometimes clients are unsure or you need a little bit more information. And I feel like if our team has all the correct information and tools, we can then assist you in this process. And if it's all correct and you're complying to everything before the goods get to the border or at customs, it's just a much smoother process.
To emphasize on this one is, even if you have any questions or doubt, it's better to have communicate and to tell that we discuss and we review the documents prior to shipment. Because all this homework that is done upfront with the documentation will simplify the process. Because everything is done before you have the goods in the container. This is the smoothest way of issuing for us the COC.
Thank you for that. Next question, please. Has Zimbabwe's compliance conformed to a similar model of Nigeria's SONCAP certification?
So ideally, I want to say that all VOC programs have the same objective. So ideally, we try to ensure that we are protecting the consumer as well as the environment by ensuring that the goods being imported into the final destination country comply to the local standards, and it's not substandard products that are being imported. So yes, there will be some similarities between Zimbabwe and Nigeria, Congo, all the VOC programs itself, but it differs in terms of the requirements of the program, the way we process your certificates, and then ideally the costing.
Thank you for that one. Okay, we've got another one. How long does it take to process a certificate?
Okay, so I'm going to elaborate a little bit, but I'll get Cedric to touch on this one. So it's usually dependent on the information that we receive. So some certificates can be issued within minutes. It's usually because it's low risk products. It's the same item. We have all the necessary documentation in place. So it's a quick file. It's easy to issue. Whereas other files, it requires a little bit more homework, or maybe there's inspection delays, or we're still waiting for goods to arrive, etc. So it depends. But usually we would like to issue certificates within 24 to 72 hours. Cedric, I think you might want to touch more.
No, I think you said it. It's again for us to give you a clear answer to this one is that we all work together. The more information we get upfront, the faster it is for us to process the certificate.
I think we've got two more from here, and then I'll start on the ones that are in the Q&A tab. So, which countries are Cotecna in? I think can leave this
Cedric, do you want to take on that one? Would you like to answer this one, Cedric?
Okay, so Cotecna, we are offering the same services in different countries around the world. In the region, we are in Zimbabwe, we are in Congo, Gabon, Nigeria, Côte d'Ivoire. You want to add the other ones?
Nigeria, and then we have your Abu Saudi programs, so Saudi, Dubai, then we have Ethiopia, and I think I covered all of them, but I could be missing a few. But if there are any, we can just share the list of programs or VOC programs that we assist with after this webinar.
This information is on our website. Yes.
Last question on the slide, please. How can we make inspections faster, easier, and cheaper for Zimbabwean importers who seem to be suffering the brunt of the costs for inspections?
Yes,
So
go
I
ahead,
see, because
Cedric.
I see also that we have some few questions a bit on the
Yes.
similar. So we'll try to answer to all of you at the same time, because you're talking about the reducing the cost of getting the COC. You want to go ahead?
So I think with us, again, I just want to reiterate that we cannot compete in the cost or pricing rather. So it's just in terms of ensuring a smoother process at the border. So ideally, we try to be more digitalized, make sure that our systems are more user-friendly. So both for the coordinator, so internally, and for you as our client. So you're able to use it. There's no difficulties around that. We also have our more digital platforms in terms of submitting requests, getting live tracking, which is our customer portal. And then we have our Cotecna Eye, which is our inspection tool. So again, it just ensures faster turnaround times in terms of conducting these inspections. So it's not as if we now have to send our inspector, they have to drive to site, etc. So it's just much quicker in terms of getting it done that way. So ideally also making sure that both the client and our teams have latest information, because that's also what delays your process a little bit. Maybe, for example, there's an updated SI35 list or SI list, so of regulated products. So we try to share this information with our clients so they're up to date. So they're not requesting for CBCA issuance for goods that are not regulated, or not requesting for COC certificates for goods that are not subjected to the program itself.
So the COC cost is defined by the authority, by the government. How Cotecna is helping to reduce the cost is by being swift. We always say time is money, and this is what we are doing to simplify and to reduce the cost in your case, because if you get your certificate quicker, it means that there's not going to be any delays of the containers or the trucks waiting at the borders. All our shipments, when you work with Cotecna, we want to make sure that the COC has been already issued in the hands of Zimra before you have even the trucks on the road. This is one of the way that we go faster. Also faster is by reducing the time of inspections. By the time you are booking your inspections using the right digital tools, we are capable of being quick to process it. So I hope that also answering your questions on the cost. If you compare Zimbabwe cost in the rest of the world of the other programs, similar programs, we are one of the cheapest in the region. So it's not it's not the highest cost in the world. I don't know how do you want to do it. I see a few different questions. We can look at them. I see that Kudzai, you ask us. I'll just read that question. So it's a lot of exporters to Zimbabwe are resistant to this program. Why is that? And what can we do as clearing agents? Oftentimes we end up doing destination inspections, which then attracts fans. So Kudzai, definitely we want to help you not doing any destination inspections, because there's definitely a 12% increase on the FOB value when you're doing destination inspection. So maybe we have to understand is that the exporters, there's two reasons why they are resistant with this kind of programs around the world. First one is because they see that the government in the country is going to protect the end consumers and protect the business. So they cannot just think that Zimbabwe is the dustbin and they can just dump their products. So it means that they know that if they're going to export to Zimbabwe, they must comply with the regulation. The second reason sometimes why they're resistant is because they are afraid and they don't understand the process, and they are afraid that it's going to be a costly exercise. Hence, we are doing this kind of webinars to help you explain to the exporters that if we all work together, if we get the right information, the right documents upfront, we will have the database and the recurring business. It will be faster under the Route B, so that you will have less inspections. and a smoother process. You will be able to get your certificates directly online at any time that is being issued. So by explaining to them, they will understand that no, doing business to Zimbabwe is easy. That this kind of programs is part of the tools that have been put in place by the country to ease doing business in Zimbabwe. I hope, Kutsai, that this is helping, that is answering your question. Estella, what is the next question?
The next question is from Jody and Gil. She said, what if we do not have any manufacturer's test report available for new vehicles for humanitarian aid?
I think this one we would look at who is the manufacturer. If you can try and ideally provide us with more information, I think we always try to assist our clients as best possible. Obviously, we would need some sort of information, and then we would try and do more research, more homework on our end. We would then check the manufacturer's website, see if there's any information that we can ideally pull on there. And that maybe it might just be a little stricter inspection where we're looking for a little more information, more details to be confirmed. But I say we try to help clients as best as possible. So send us what you have, and we will then try and do our homework and check if there's anything additional that we can try and support you with.
Jody, I hope that answers your question. Our next question is from Desire T. Chikide. I kindly request a copy of this presentation for referral. So we will be sharing the recording as well as a survey after this webinar. So you do have access to the recording as well as the presentation. The next question is from Jody as well. Are the fees for vehicles $240 minimum for the COC plus the $140 US?
So I replied already on this one.
Okay.
No, don't worry, Jody. It's two different programs, and in the case of vehicle, it's only $140 US.
Perfect. And then we have another question from Monica, who's asking, when does the process start? I assume this is the process for the certification itself.
I think this is as soon as you, I think this is from get-go. So as soon as you either have your commercial invoice or you have a pro forma invoice, I feel like it's best to involve us as early as possible. And the reason why I say this is because it would be better to conduct our inspections at country of origin. So it just avoids you having to pack everything and gets to maybe say a halfway point or a stopping point. And then now the goods have to be unpacked. Obviously, there's additional costings involved with this. So it's always best to conduct these inspections from get-go. So in the country of origin, we can tell you, is there a need for a COC or is it subjected to the CBCA program from get-go? So there's no point in, for example, you getting us all the information, etc., spending time, delays, getting the test reports, conformity documents, etc., and the item itself is ideally not subjected to the program. So there's no need for a CBCA certificate. So I feel like it's always best to involve us as early as possible. So we're also aware of the products. We can tell you, is it something high risk, what kind of test reports you're going to be looking for, etc., just to avoid all the delays and extra running around or homework that you might need to do on your end.
Okay. Thank you, Garisha, for that. I think Nation Mawere, your question was answered earlier in question 6 on the slides. So if we could possibly go to the next slide. If we did not answer your questions, you can kindly get a hold of us in the next following slide. But if you haven't already, kindly scan the QR code that is on the screen. It helps you stay up to date with the Zimbabwe CBCA program as well as our other African programs. So you can just scan the code and it should take you to our LinkedIn page. So we can stay in touch. Feel free to email at Zimbabwe@Cotecna.com, which is under Cedric's image. You can also email Garisha through the voc@cotecna.co.za email address. And you can also email myself locally here in Zimbabwe at estellapaulsa@cotecna.com. You can also reach for urgent matters. You can reach both me and Garisha, available on the telephone and mobile numbers below. Again, if we haven't answered any of your questions, kindly please send an email and we will get back to you. Communication is best, as Garisha said. We would like to ensure that this process is as seamless as possible. Thank you guys for joining. Really hope you found this session very fruitful, and we look forward to having more engagements such as this in the future. Thank you so much for your time. I think we're going to end our webinar now. Thank you very much.